Here's a thought for you. Clay is clay. There is a story in each one of us written on the pages of our lives in the ink of experience. And anytime I have the opportunity to encourage, to develop and to train young ministers, to work with leaders, to work with people who lead teams, my constant mantra is this: the most important thing that you will share with somebody is your story and your time. When you read the Gospels and when you read the Bible especially, and you see how the Bible makes its way through century after century, through narrative after narrative, you will see the way in which God comes to be closely aligned with the human story, never leaving us, staying closely aligned with the human story, and how he transforms lives, and how the lives of those people who are transformed touches the lives of others, and they in turn become people who transform other lives. Jeremiah 18 pictures a potter working on a piece of clay. The potter has to break this piece of clay all the way down to a lump because there is something in the clay that's making it hard for the potter to work with this piece of clay, but he doesn't throw the clay away. He keeps the piece of clay there. He takes it out. He patiently takes out the piece of stone that is in the clay that's stopping him from finishing the piece of work. And then he works it again because he still has an end in mind with this piece of clay. He still knows that something beautiful can come out of this piece of clay. This clay will not be thrown away. The clay is still in the hands of the potter, and the potter still has plans for this seeming broken down piece of clay. He then tells Jeremiah that, Jeremiah, this is a metaphor for me and us. He then tells Jeremiah that, Jeremiah, this is a metaphor for me and you all as human beings. This is a metaphor that you may seem like broken down pieces of clay, but I can work something beautiful in your life. Just like the clay is in the hands of the potter, so you are in my hands. You know, the Bible is full of stories from the beginning all the way through of human pieces of clay that fell into the hands of the potter. And the potter was able to do something beautiful with those pieces of clay. And the longer you read, the more and more it becomes apparent that for the potter, clay is clay. It can be spoiled and overindulged clay, like Joseph. It could be incredulous and laughingly cynical clay, like Sarah. It could be rock-beating clay, like Moses. It could be booty call clay, like Rahab. It could be murderous and adulterous clay, like King David. It could be self-propelled and arrogant clay, like Peter. Why don't you take a moment to take a look at yourself and see the type of clay that's looking back at you? It's clear from the story that the potter truly loves this piece of clay. And it's also clear in the story that this piece of clay never leaves the hands of the potter, ever. The potter sees it, the potter is present with it, and the potter continues to hold it. Even when this piece of clay is formed into a nearly finished vessel, into a nearly finished vase, into a nearly finished work, and the potter has to break it all the way down, it still remains within the hands of the potter because the potter still sees the beauty in this piece of clay. So if you feel like that piece of clay in the hands of God, let me encourage you with 3 thoughts. Number 1, you are not unique, you are not special, and you are not never seen before clay. God has seen your clay type before. So don't write yourself off before God even has an opportunity to have his hands on you, and especially while God has his hands on you. Number 2, just as the potter chooses to work on this piece of clay, the reality is we have to choose to allow this potter God to work in our lives. We have to choose for him to break our lives down and take out the things from our lives that are stopping him from doing that beautiful work. Take out the things and the people and the situations and the habits and the thoughts that are stopping him from finishing that beautiful work in our lives. And number 3, if you can trust the potter, you can trust the process. And if you can trust the process, you can trust and be confident in the end product of your life. A number of years ago, I was conducting a funeral for a friend of mine who had been murdered. At the reception, all of us, whoever grew up together, were at the reception. Everybody knew me to be a Christian, but it didn't click that I was a pastor. So everybody that I'd been to school with from primary school, come all the way through, were at this funeral. Anyway, we were at the reception, about 25 of us standing in a big circle, just talking and enjoying each other's company. A guy next to me turned and he said, "Boy, Eddie, I can't believe you're a pastor, because you were bad in school." I said, "What's wrong with you, man?" "No, I wasn't that bad in school." 2 people who were standing next to him said, "Nah, Eddie, you were bad in school." And the 4 of us started laughing. Anyway, I wasn't having it. I turned to the whole crowd. I said, "Everyone, was I really that bad in school?" And everyone went, "Yeah." And we all cracked up laughing. Anyway, moments later, the guy who was standing next to me said, "Anyway, it's a good thing, because if you can change, Eddie, that means there's hope for all of us. Because in the hands of God, clay is clay.